Okay, good afternoon. Today is Thursday, April 4th. This is the voting session of the Ways and Means Committee. Haley, Delegate Hornberger is excused. We will start with Senate Bill 6. Delegate Attar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 6 expands an optional local property tax credit to include veterans with a non-permanent service-connected disability of 100%, and the cross-file passed unanimously. I move favorable.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 6 passes favorably. Senate Bill 33, and there are amendments. Delegate Ebersol.
Chair, as amended, this bill will require, if counselors are giving advice and information to students about post-secondary education opportunities, that they balance that with providing with career and other CTE opportunities as well. Move the bills, move the amendments.
Okay, any discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended.
Move the bill as amended.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 33 passes favorably as amended. House Bill 837, and there are amendments. Delegate Ebersol.
Other than a sponsor problem, I don't see one.
Eric.
This bill is actually the work of Delegate Wu and not the previous sponsor. And this bill is amended into the exact same posture as the previous bill in Senate Bill 33. Move the bill as amended. Can I do that?
Do you want to move the amendments?
Move the amendments if you like,
Okay.
sure.
I don't even know what you said. Are there discussion on the amendments? Okay. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended. Any discussion? Delegate Miller. Yes, so raise your hand if you would like to be a me too. Okay, so are you ready?
Yep. We're not sure.
Okay. Madam Vice Chair, Delegate Ebersol, Delegate Patterson, Delegate Buckle, Delegate Fair, Delegate Young, Delegate Long, Delegate Miller, Henson, Delegate Roberts, Delegate Grossman, Delegate Wims, Delegate Vogel, Delegate Hartman. You okay? Delegate Muirque North. I mean, it's everybody. Delegate Griffith, Delegate Attar, Delegate Plakovich Carr, Delegate Feldmark, and the chair. And we actually need to vote on it, and Delegate Wells. So that is everybody. So all in favor of the bill as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And everybody's added their name on the bill. And Hornberger's not here, so he can't. Okay, House Bill 837 passes favorably as amended, and everyone except Hornberger is now also a co-sponsor. Senate Bill 78, and there are amendments. Delegate Ebersol.
This bill takes a bill that we passed over to the Senate. The Baltimore County delegation moves to conform this one to the form that they approved previously for the House bill. Move the amendments.
What? You're saying stuff a little crazy today. Any discussion on
we're conforming the bill to the House.
Any discussion on the amendments? Delegate Henson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a note from the bill's hearing that the sponsor of the bill addressed some amendments that were to the bill, and my notes say that the sponsor felt like the amendments were going to take away from transparency and would weaken the bill. The amendments that you described are, I don't know if I asked him specifically which amendments had that effect, but do you know if the amendments that the sponsor had trouble with have been removed, or are they still a part of the bill?
We're not going to remove the amendments because the House delegation approved the amendments. And so it's the senator doesn't have the purview to actually ask us to change the will of the Baltimore County delegation.
Sure. I saw one of the amendments. It looks like the bill originally had the recording of the process, I guess the voting procedure being available for public inspection within 48 hours. And then it looks like the amendment says that it may not be made available to the public. what opportunities are preserved for the public to be able to view that process?
The process, there are two parts to the process. The first part is the interview. I believe that would be available to the public, but the second part is the deliberations. And they would not be made available to the public. Both are really being recorded for members of it's a large commission. It's 19 people to review if they missed the meeting.
What was the rationale behind not making that deliberation available for the public?
Encouraging people to apply for the position.
Okay, I thank you for answering the question. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any other questions on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendments signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You're opposed to the amendments?
You guys understand this is local courtesy, right?
Well,
I'm
there's
just
local
pointing it out.
courtesy, then there's not
I'm just
Delegate
pointing it out.
Eversol. Okay, so these two are opposed to the amendments, Delegate Young and Delegate Henson. Okay, I think we're gonna hold this bill
Okay.
and we're gonna discuss it. So we are holding Senate Bill 78. We have adopted the amendments though on the bill, so that's what we'll discuss in subcommittee meeting. Senate Bill 287, and there are amendments, Delegate Attar. What'd I say? I'm sorry, Senate Bill 286, and there are amendments, Delegate Attar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill allows a homeowner who is enrolled in the homeowner protection program to receive the homeowner's property tax credit retroactively for up to 3 years. The amendment allows a homeowner who is at least 70 years old to receive the homestead property tax credit retroactively for 2 years if they apply by mail, if they apply by May 31st, 2025, and then for 1 year if they apply after May 31st, 2025. And I move the amendments.
Any discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended. Any discussion on the bill is amended? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 286 passes favorably as amended. We are going to hold Senate Bill 415. Senate Bill 434, and there are amendments, Delegate Plavich-Carr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So SB 434 has to do with funding for our State Library Resource Center. The amendments just increase the funding for fiscal year 2025 and then maintain that as the new baseline of increased funding going forward. Move the amendments.
Any discussion on the amendments? Delegate Miller?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So what does the funding increase go to? Like, what does it affect the fiscal note?
It's just the first year of the fiscal note. So that was 770,000 a year. So that's the additional cost per year, and that's already built into the budget.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill as amended. Discussion on the bill as amended. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 434 passes favorably as amended. House Bill 489, and there are amendments. Delegate Plavich-Carr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is identical to what we just discussed. Move the amendments.
Any discussion on the amendments? All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion on the bill is amended. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, House Bill 489 passes favorably as amended. Senate Bill 451, Delegate Eversol.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is in the exact same form as House Bill 108 that we passed unanimously. It increases compensation for school board members. Move the amendment. No, move the bill.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 451 passes favorably. Senate Bill 502, Delegate Attar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is identical to House Bill 636 as it passed the House. The bill authorizes the county to grant a property tax credit to the Evergreen Heritage Center. Move the bill.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Senate Bill 502 passes favorably. Senate Bill 579, and there are amendments. Delegate Ebersol.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill requires the Maryland State Department of Education to report to the General Assembly on the cost to provide free meal and lunch to all students in public schools in the state by December 1, 2024. Specified items that MSD must consider for each county in determining the costs include the current rate of providing free breakfast and lunch, Maryland Meals for Achievement program, participation in the U.S. Department of Agriculture Community Eligibility Program. Also, in determining the cost specified by the county must be considered, must be disaggregated by 1, elementary, middle, and high school, and 2, by breakfast and lunch. There are amendments. The amendments add to the report that the State Department must compile research on what has happened in other states that have had the universal meal program in place. Move the amendments.
Any discussion on the amendments? Delegate Wu.
So I'm wondering, can we add a little extra amendment there on the fly? I want to share some background. So I think the idea is good, but the problem is sometimes on the operation side, a lot of schools face issues because they got a long line for students to wait. And a lot of schools, they have, for example, their lunch at 10:30 in the morning for their lunch, or 1:30 in the afternoon for lunch. I really don't think that's a really optimal lunch time for a lot of students. And the problem with that is really operation constraint. They don't have enough space for lunch, or they don't have enough really capacity in terms of supporting students, like lunch monitor or cafeteria supporting staff. And then if we put everything free, there will be more students use the school lunch. Right now, they may bring their own lunch. Then that means you put more constraint on the school resources. I wonder in your amendment, can you add, say, look at the school operating side. Do we need to put more resources there? Analyze that as well.
Okay. Delegate Feldmark. I'm sorry, Delegate Plavkovich Guard.
Yeah. this sponsor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Delegate Wu, for bringing up this issue. I'll say the amendments that are before us really are about just having MSDE look at the costs, but Alistair actually is going to be looking in the summer informally at some other issues related to the program that are kind of outside of the analytics, the data that MSDE is going to be looking at. So I mean, that would be one possibility as well. Like that's not something official, but like Alistair is going to be looking at some other issues over the summer. So we could roll in something like that, I'd say. So it wouldn't be in the bill, but there is these kind of.
Okay, operation side, right? And then if you need to hire more like lunch monitors, then you need more cost to school as well, right?
So I think, why don't you touch base with Alistair offline and just to make sure while he's taking care of his new baby that will be here soon, that that he also has that information.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill as amended. Okay, discussion on the bill as amended. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, 579 passes favorably as amended. House Bill 696A. Yes.
Right. But I wanted to say, this is the only bill that I was told by all the principals in my district that they supported. And so I just wanted to say, this is one that's very important to my district, to all our districts probably, but this is the only one they talked about. Thank you.
Thank you. There are amendments. Delegate Ebersol.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill improves the sponsor and the amendments are the same as they are for the previous bill, Senate Bill 579. Okay,
any discussion on the amendments?
Yeah. Move the amendments.
Any discussion? Okay, everybody second, everybody. Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended.
Move favorable.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, House Bill 696 passes favorably as amended. Senate Bill 654, and there are amendments. Delegate Ebersol.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill establishes a student support specialist network with specified membership in each public high school in Prince George's County and requires each network to develop, complete, and implement a student support success action plan. To support each network in developing plans, the Prince George's County Board of Education must, by December 31 of 2024, develop, approve, and disseminate a template for a student support success action plan with specified elements. County Board must set a deadline for submission of the plans for approval from networks, and each network must submit a plan for approval before implementation. By July 1 of 2025, and each July 1 thereafter, each network must report on the results of the plan's implementation to the county board. There are amendments. The amendments extend the sunset of the local Prince George's County school facility surcharge to 2029 and extend the date by which the county executive must review and report on the school facility surcharge to the school board, the county council, and the General Assembly delegation. Move the amendments.
Any discussion? Is there a second? Any discussion? Delegate Buckle.
Two things. So the bill is construed, it doesn't involve any state funding particular, correct?
No, sir, it does not.
And then the thing that you said at the end, the amendments, it extends the school facility surcharge. I'm not terribly familiar with how Prince George's, is that basically like an impact fee?
Yes.
Okay, so they have an impact fee program. They're going to extend the impact fee program with some reporting of how much it's bringing in or how it's being utilized. And the impact fee goes to their own county coffers, which I assume they have a certain percentage of build out for education.
It's called a facility surcharge, so it has to do with, I guess they can use it for various things if they want to.
Okay, it's all their money. It's their money. They've decided how they want to do it.
They're collecting
It
this
doesn't
from
affect-
taxpayers, I assume.
Yeah, but I mean, it's county specific. It's not
Right.
something that the states.
Right.
Thank you.
That is true.
Any other discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended.
Move favorable.
Okay, any discussion on the bill as amended? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 654 passes favorably as amended. Senate Bill 769, Delegate Attar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is identical to House Bill 740 as it passed unanimously out of the House. The bill allows the county to determine the amount, duration, and other criteria for an existing required local property tax credit for improvements to structures in a historic district. Move favorable.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 769 passes as favorable. Senate Bill 852, Delegate Eversole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 852 establishes a residency requirement in Washington County. They did not previously have one. It's in the same format as the House bill we passed on the same issue. I move the bill.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Senate Bill 852 passes favorable. Senate Bill 1042, and there are amendments, Delegate Eversole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is this bill is the ASVAB bill. I think we passed a House version of this a day or so ago. It changes the the amendment reiterates the ability of a county to have students opt in to having their data shared rather than, as the bill states, they have to opt out of having their data and results shared. Although if the county has no policy, then the state policy would be that they would have to opt out of having their data shared. Move the amendment.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended.
Move favorable.
Discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Senate Bill 1042 passes favorably as amended. Senate Bill 1145, we are going to hold. House Bill 1479. Delegate Eversole.
Madam Chair, I'm going to defer to the Frederick County delegation member to describe this bill to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1479 enables Frederick County to apply for a pilot program called a truancy reduction pilot. It is used in other counties throughout the state. The program allows them to work on truancy and absenteeism reduction. Move the bill, Madam Chair.
Was there a second? Okay, discussion, Delegate Wu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate Fair, you have a nice haircut, so I have a question for you. No. why do you need like state approval on this program?
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Delegate Wu. So there is through the Office of let me get the name right. Special Courts. Problem Solving Courts. Thank you. Thank you so much, Delegate Feldmark. The Office of Problem Solving Courts, in order to apply for a grant for this program, that has to go through the state to be able to enable the county to be able to apply for the grant. Currently, Frederick County runs the program as an all-volunteer program. It's had a pretty high success rate as a volunteer program, but we are confident, based on the results of other counties that are participating in the program, that with the ability to apply for a grant, and if we were lucky enough to receive that grant from the Office of Special Public Problem Solving Courts, that we'll be able to be even more effective with the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor of House Bill 1479 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, House Bill 1479 has passed as favorable. We have a couple of concurrences and one that is a motion not to concur, so I'll do that first. The motion is not to concur with the Senate on House Bill 14, not to concur with the Senate amendments, which strike the House provisions allowing a public official to contest the availability of a public building for use as an early voting center before the state board. I move not to concur with the Senate amendments. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor with the motion not to concur signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have a handful of concurrences. First, House Bill 86. I'm not going to read the Senate amendments unless somebody would like to. House Bill 86, which is the bronchodilators bill. We are moving to concur with the Senate amendments. Any questions on that one? Okay, House Bill 522, telehealth appointments. The motion is to concur with the Senate amendments, which I will read this because there were some questions in the back room. The Senate amendments require the State Department of Education and the Maryland Department of Health to develop state guidelines for school telehealth appointments in consultation with certain stakeholders and with consideration of certain operational concerns. These guidelines then form the basis for each county board of education's own policy. So the motion is to concur on that. Any discussion about that? Okay, House Bill 475. This is the open source phonics matching grant program. We're going to move to concur with the Senate amendments on that. Any question about that? House Bill 1064, income tax subtraction modification, death benefits for law enforcement officers and firefighters. It's motion to concur, just making it an emergency measure. House Bill 154, homeowners property tax credit extension for homeowners protection program enrollees for the filing deadline. The motion is to concur. Any questions about that? House Bill 903, this is the last one, education access to attorneys, the special education fund that I think everybody signed on to. The motion is to concur with the Senate amendments, which there was a whole lot of drama, but puts it in the same posture as, yeah, what's the agency's name? ML, what? MVLS, putting it back into that because another agency stepped in and said they wanted to do it, then they stepped out and said they didn't want to do it. So, so is there a consent calendar motion?
A consent calendar on the concurrences. Let me
Okay.
see where it's there.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll concur on all of those. Committee, the Ways and Means Committee will not be voting tomorrow. Stay tuned to see if we are voting any other day. But as of right now, there are no plans to do so.